Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of Deck Wars presented by IRTU and Machinima. My name is Chobra, and once again, joining me will be my co-caster Gnimsh. Hello, Gnimsh. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just had a great week, and again, super excited for the episode. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I didn't get as much sleep today, so I may be a little bit wacky, but that probably just means I'll have more energy, so it's a good thing. It's a good thing for something like Deck Wars because we do have another best of seven coming up. For those of you guys who have been following, today you already know that we have Neirea and Max. Neirea from Team Liquid, of course, and Max from Team Method. But let's look at the past results. Of course, we have all the winners lined up on the left side for your viewing pleasure. And I mean, we have quite the lineup already leading into the finals, Gnimsh.
Oh man, we are like halfway through. So today's
Oh
episode is
yeah,
like the
that's
eighth
true.
episode. Yeah,
Ooh,
and
that's exciting.
we will have like for players, if I understand correctly, we will have the finals after all this. So people who actually won are advancing to the finals. At least this was the thing the last two decor seasons. So all the people who
Yes.
won, we will meet them again. So it's like really important not only to win this one match, but you get this invite. So it's even more important. And we had some great players already fall, like people like Sixo already eliminated, but then Firebat, Hosty, Dog, Faramir, Kaldi, Thais, Misan advancing. And today, Neirea versus Max. What do you know about Neirea as a player?
Well, Neirea, I know last time I tuned into a stream was when he was trying to get into Legend with Face Warrior. That was fun to watch. But aside from that, of course, Neirea, I mean, he's been around the scene for quite some time. And, he's had it's always tough to say with these players who consistently rank like fairly high, but they don't have any number ones under their belt. Because to the common fan, it seems like you don't really know who they are, but for the hardcore fans, it's pretty impressive to consistently get into the top four or at least even the top eight, especially in a game like Hearthstone, because you never know what's going to happen. So, of course, most recently at the Kingwin Winter edition, he placed fourth, I believe, or third and fourth there. So he's definitely been quite consistent, I have to say, and one with, quite a bit to say, I think, when it comes to kind of just theory crafting and decks and having fun with Hearthstone. What about Max, on the other hand, Gnimsh?
Oh man, as Max is like of the guys who was not known before the World
Yeah.
Champs, but then he did qualify for the Stockholm qualifier, and he went through the online qualifier where a lot of great players they just fallen somewhere there and didn't advance, and he did advance, and also in Stockholm in the regional European qualifier he did really good. He did win a couple of matches, and unfortunately for him he didn't qualify for the World Champs, but then he had some good performance at DreamHack Bucharest after that. And you know what, like recently, last week I feel, he went through
Yeah.
700 plus people and he qualified for EU versus China. So Max will be one of the people from Europe flying to China to play in the EU versus China tournament, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to talk more about that, at least on turn two, maybe on tabletop if we get a chance, because that tournament's gathering quite some attention for a lot of reasons. But yeah, so we do have another two great players preparing their decks for today's match, and let's meet them. You see them on their webcams, and already looking at decks. Oh, look at that. We have Druids banned out on both sides, no Warlocks being prepared, and so some variation from the past weeks we've had so far on Deck Wars.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised. It's really interesting to see this setup. So let's go class by class. Both players are playing warrior. Most of the warriors are control warriors. They can have some mix of piloted shredders and other stuff, but it's just a standard good deck. Then Neirea decided to bring a priest. Well, what priest is that? Is this the Fragile Fast priest, or maybe a more greedy control? Then druid. Well, right now druid is in a weird spot because people play the combo again, like double force, double Savage. That's really dangerous. If like a good innervate, and maybe you can even sweep your opponent. So I do understand the ban, but then again, there is rogue and mage, like super powerful decks with mage being mech mage or control mage. You never know which mage you're facing, and the oil rogue being super powerful recently as well, with different variations. Like some people play Ragnaros and Doctor Boom, and some people are more like fast-paced with their rogues decks. Some people play like more like a miracle build with Gadgetzan as well. So I'm pretty excited to see those lineups.
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, I know some people are sick of Mech Mage and everything, but it's nice to see kind of new staples coming in, whereas before it was always Hunter, Warlock, and Warrior pretty much at every tournament, almost for every player. But now we're seeing some more variation in Rogues too. Now returning, like you said, with that oil with some variations. So I'm excited. Of course, Max still bringing in a Hunter, which in general, at least on ladder, of course, has taken a little bit of a hit thanks to the Undertaker nerfs, but we'll see what he has in store. I mean, the card is still functional if it can get built up and do some damage early.
I have some background on that because the Hunter that Max was playing in the EU versus China qualifier was really a different deck. It is his custom build. I don't want to spoil how it looks like, but I really hope that he will have a chance to play it, and we'll choose to play it so that we can get surprised together, like what is really happening there. But this was the deck that carried him to the first place.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't get to watch his matches during that qualifier, but it would be interesting to get to see it if we have a chance today. So if both players are ready, I mean, there's no reason to wait. Let's jump right into game one and see which class both players have chosen. Right off the bat, it's going to be the Hunter, straight up from Max, and then the Mage, not a big surprise, from Neirea for the first game.
All right, it's really important that we already see that Neirea is running Mad Scientist. Some of the people ran the version without Mirror Entity, without Mad Scientist, with Mana Worms and Unstable Portal. Neirea is playing the Mad Scientist one, and he has a pretty sick opening with Cogmaster, Mech Warper, and that Mad Scientist.
Yeah. He wasn't too happy to see Antonitis in his opening hand, but he's got everything lined up, and he'll draw more cards as we go, so that's going to be pretty straightforward. On the flip side, Max, I mean, yeah, he has the Scientist and the Creeper, but, his other cards he probably wants to try to save, so hopefully he can draw something that's a little bit more stable in the early turns.
Well, I can add that from Max's perspective, if he didn't change the deck much, I think he doesn't have any other traps and freezing traps. So his deck is, it's not that fast. It's like, it has the low curve, but it mostly depends on the big cards like Savannah Highmane and Dr. Boom. So here, his hand is more or less alright, but it's not great, definitely, with double kill command.
Yeah, and then the Animal Companion, at least Misha, usually not the most preferred, but it's going to kind of hold off for him in the early turns, so that's actually probably something he's happy to see given his hand. And that's an easy turn played out from Neirea, the Annoytron coming in just in time. He's considering the Mad Scientist over the Spider Tank, which I agree with. I don't think there's any rush for the Spider Tank given what's on the board.
Yeah, I like Mad Scientist. Basically, I'm not sure how many secrets is Neirea playing, but you want to play Mad Scientist as fast as possible to have that Mirror Entity for Savannah Highmane, also to limit the chance that you'll draw into one and reduce the value of Mad Scientist.
Yep. And just clear with Unleash the Hounds onto a Annoytron and gets rid of the Mech Warper. So no hesitation there from Max, and then the Freezing Trap getting triggered. So he didn't want any chance of that Mech Warper staying alive, even with a higher mana cost. And yeah, Freezing Trap's so annoying, right? Because especially with early cards, it's like you want them back out there, whether it's the Mech Warper or the Mad Scientist, but now you have to use a whole turn just to put it back down.
Yeah, and you're getting behind here as well. So Neirea has to decide if he's going for Mad Scientist or just play the Spider Tank and a small one.
I like that he put it down, though, just because the Misha's still out there. So the Spider Tank, I mean, if that trade's definitely not favorable for you, you might as well just try to trade this into the Misha and get that secret out. And then going into turn 6, maybe you can get that Highmane, right? But we do see that second Freezing Trap being prepped by Max. It's going to come down. That could really do it. I mean, although Max had a rough hand, I mean, 2 Freezing Traps in a row can really ruin someone's day.
Well, Neirea can't be really sure what trap it is. It can, seeing Juggler and the Taunt, it can also be a Snake Trap. That's why he's probably going for like a couple of minions to be able to spread out the knives.
Oh, but it is another freezing. Thankfully, he got that second Mech Warper down, so he's going to get some more minions back on the board.
Max not getting his end game, really. He's just getting the small minions, but still he has options. And those double kill commands, even though they didn't look that well. Oh, the knife actually hits the small one. That's pretty good for him. Yeah, kill command can be used as removal card. It's like in the face hunter, you always think, yeah, I just need to kill command the face. But in this kind of deck where they're fighting for board presence, both decks are like fighting for having the minions on board, and whoever keeps the minions, then he will win eventually because the hunter has the hero power, so he will just deal some damage and then we'll be able to finish. Same with mage. If mage stabilizes, he will have those fireballs and Antonidas. So whoever is going to win the board is going to win this game. Right now, Max has a like huge advantage.
Absolutely. And this is again another tough turn, just because that mad scientist is really, and now he drew the mirror entity too. So, you know, I think it's a bit of a tough call, but I agree with just playing the mirror entity at this point, especially now that we're post turn 6 with only 2 cards in hand. Chances are you're going to be able to trade that for a high cost minion.
Yeah, especially because like turn 7 is Dr. Boom turn. So, and with only 2 cards in hand from Max, Neirea is making a pretty good call. But then there is a juggler, so he will be pretty upset about that.
Yeah, 2 jugglers. And the mirror entity stealing that juggler, not going to be so great. Well,
yeah,
he does have a... Yeah, for Neirea, he does have the Antonidas next turn with the coin, and well, having to taunt it isn't so great, but he can trade it for 2 more fireballs if he really wishes.
Yeah, but on the other hand, like, Max has an advantage, and he's using kill command to deal 5 damage to face because he has a beast. Now he trades the Hunter Creep to get some more damage and be able to kill the juggler. So he's positioning himself to like actually next turn.
Yeah. Yeah, then you definitely have to just taunt it out and trade it. But even then, you're working on a very tight timeline here, and it's not looking so good for Neirea. I mean, that hero power from Hunter, that's what makes it so strong. There's Vanaheiming coming out, and yeah, Neirea just going to give up because he doesn't have ways to really answer it in his hand, and let alone in his deck in general. So that's a fairly quick game 1. And what looked like a rough hand from Max turns out to actually be exactly what he needed, really, to get his win condition.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing, actually. Like, normally you would think that Freezing Trap is not that useful in this matchup. And I think the important part was that even though Neirea's hand seemed good, it's... I think his performance here in this matchup was a bit weakened because he didn't know what to expect. Like, Max's deck was a bit different, and you do Mulligan to face, like, a face hunter that's super fast. And you do the plays assuming that there is mostly, like, explosive chop and stuff like that. So that was influencing his decisions for sure. And, well, also, he didn't get the Blast Mage. Like, with Goblin Blast Mage, it's a bit different as well. I think that was really important. But overall, a pretty good game, and I'm looking forward to what he's going to pick to counter this Hunter, because he now has some information about it.
Exactly. So now we do have that Mage knocked out, the Druid banned out, Warrior, Priest, and Rogue. Now we can't really wager too many bets on exactly what's going on in the Priest or the Rogue decks, I guess. But Warrior's pretty self-explanatory.
So originally, Rogue was bad versus Hunters, and you don't want to face Hunters as a Rogue. But then Max's deck seems slow. The interesting thing is that Neirea didn't get all the information because the Savannah Hymen was never played, and maybe then like conceding was a bit premature, like because you can get a bit more information here. Like you saw Juggler, you saw Animal Companion, Double Kill Command. That's the stuff that like Hunter Creeper, every Hunter can play that. Like. Was there anything... Freezing Trap was maybe surprising, but other than that, that was just standard Hunter you face another. And,
he did get to see both Freezing Traps, so that's pretty decent information, especially because it's just a bother to have to work around different secrets. I mean, sure, you don't know if he has more, but you know he has at least 2 Freezing. But like you said, he didn't really see any of the endgame cards, so we'll see what Neirea is thinking. And as we jump into game 2, what his deck choice is, maybe that'll tell us a little bit more about how confident he feels about the knowledge of the Hunter deck.
Well, we can definitely see Neirea being calm about it. He is a guy who is really experienced. He's putting a lot of volume into games. He loves Hearthstone. He loves playing the different matches. So we can see like he's not really concerned. He is analyzing what I saw, what should I pick, and which deck should I get right now. He decides to take his Rogue.
Yep. And like you said, the matchup not always favorable, but things are a little bit different now. New style of rogue, and also this hunter does seem a little bit slower. It's not just your everyday face hunter, and we do see that Doctor Boom now in hand for Max. So now he's got something to look forward to towards the end.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around like how this matchup will go for Neirea, where he has Sabotage as well. He got Violet Teacher, where like Violet Teacher tokens will be good versus Freezing Traps. There is Unleash the Hounds in Max's hand. Farseer. Oh, Dark Iron Dwarf. That's one of the cards that's really like interesting in this deck.
Yeah, so. Not something you see every day, but we're gonna see the coin out for the Violet Teacher because he does have those backstabs ready. And he's going to go for the prep and the Fan of Knives too, just to clear everything and get a lot of tokens out. Now, like you mentioned, the Unleash the Hounds is already there. Is this a point where you just kind of use that to clear?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for Neirea right now, it's the very correct play where you want to clear the board and you want to build up something that will help you to just push with damage. But then Max does have the Unleash to clear, and I think it's a very good call. There's even Harrison Jones for like the future weapon.
Yeah, this Hunter deck seems very, very well teched for kind of the common decks going around these days. Different from what you'd expect to from what we've seen in the past, so that also works to his advantage. And we do see that secret now.
Yeah, so this is the freezing trap, and Neirea knows that there is a freezing trap. That's why he's not attacking. But the Barber is also an interesting choice. Then Harrison Jones is going to Shatter. Neirea is like, what?
Yeah.
Harrison Jones the Hunter. What is he doing?
Piloted Shredder there too, on top of the Dark Iron Dwarf. Now, Neirea can rest assured that he at least still can get his Barber back, so he'll have that to buff his weapon, and that was the plan all along. Instead of losing the Violet Teacher on the board, he'll also just sabotage that Harrison Jones right away. No better way to really take care of it without sacrificing the Teacher.
Yeah, right. Neirea got back in the game where the trap is out. He has the Teacher. He has still like some very good cards in his hand. So Max has to fight for the board now. And I think like if Max is behind, it will be hard for this deck to get back. But then again, he has Dr. Boom that's going to get dropped on turn 7 possibly.
Yeah, so some options here. The backstab obviously a go-to, and looks like he's just going to use it on the Juggler. Now after that, what do you go for here?
You can probably go to kill the for free. You can stop it as well, that's fine. But then if you kill it, you can use Farseer. There's a lot of options. Like, it really depends if you want to develop a bigger board and start pushing with damage. And are you afraid of anything that can be played?
Well, I think it's fine of him to be a little bit scared, given that after the game 1, now you're seeing the Harrison, like you're still very much in the dark. Like, you can't really assume anything anymore. The Dr. Boom coming out, very good timing for Max since he's had that from the get-go.
Yeah.
Now Neirea's got his weapons already. Yeah, sorry, we ran into each other there, but
yeah,
Neirea's got his weapon stuff all ready to go on top of the Blade Flurry too.
True, and what the strategy that Neirea is taking here is that he has so much damage potential that he can raise the hunt right now, and he knows that one Unleash the Hounds is also out of the way, so his board is not getting cleared easily. And the fact that there are no explosive traps as well, like he only saw the freezing traps, he knows that, hey, I can just overextend now. It's my moment.
Oh, he's thinking about clearing one bomb, which I think is fine, right? Because he has the weapon, plus he has the Blade Flurry next turn, so unless we see an ooze or a heal coming out from Max, Neirea knows he has this in the bag, even if all of his minions die, or like a taunt comes up, anything.
You basically, for Max, is like he can't really do anything here. Like you don't even get information.
No. I mean, the oil is pretty standard, and everything you've seen is quite straightforward. Yeah, I think it's just the end of the road for Max. I mean, sure, you might as well play it out. You know, if you want to keep real accurate count of the cards. But I think for this one, especially with just 2 cards left and what's on the board, you kind of know what to expect. So in reverse, a quick game, which personally I like because the games are quick, but we're not getting a sweep, so it's like a win-win for everyone. But Neirea coming out with the Oil Rogue and shuts down Max's Hunter. I personally would have liked to see a little bit more from the Hunter just to see how else it plays out. Not necessarily at winning, but the game perhaps going longer to see what else he's got in store. But so far it was pretty fun to see. And it got him 1 win in the beginning, so it's done its job.
And it's interesting that the Hunter actually got the win, getting the standard cards. When he got like those weird cards that he normally plays to win the games, he got behind and wasn't able to deal with the Violet Teacher. But then, like, Hunter is out, and Neirea still has a couple of good decks. What will be the best choice to counter the Rogue, where Hunter is eliminated? He can go for the Mirror Match, and he can go for Warrior if you feel like the matchup is good for you. And Mech Mage, I feel like, well, Mech Mage has a lot of freezes, and Rogue has a lot of weapons. So if you can freeze the Rogue, you can possibly just get from there.
Personally, I'm a fan of the Mech Mage, just because also, well, depending on the build he has, but generally, you're going to be pushing for the damage a little bit earlier, and like you said, if you can get that freeze early on top of that, on top of some board control, then it's going to be really hard for Neirea to answer, or like he's going to have to use his crucial spells to clear the board, in which case Max should be able to climb back into it with the Mage. Max has his pen and notepad ready, so we'll see what he's got prepared for his second deck, and looks like he's still thinking it through, but once he's ready, we'll jump right into game 3, see what Max likes to wage his bets on here against that Oil Rogue.
It's really interesting how the matchup of Warrior changed, because before, I still feel like Warrior has an advantage, but like before, Warrior was just winning almost every time versus Rogue, because Rogue had the finite amount of damage, and if Warrior could just keep Rogue under control, just armor up enough so that the Rogue is just out of cards. Like, Rogue literally just runs out of cards, goes to fatigue, and it's like, oh, I can't just kill this Warrior. And so Warrior had a great matchup. I think it still has a good matchup, but then Oil is changing it a bit, because you can generate so much damage with the Sharp Sword Oil. And with Violet Teachers, if you keep the board, but it's a really tough matchup for the Rogue to play.
Yep. So the Warrior does come out, like you said. You had a very solid analysis right there. Ooh, the deckhand here for Neirea. Not exactly the dream turn 1 play, but
you probably even keep it, because if there is a Taskmaster, you're just losing. Yeah, you just passed the turn without playing it, because it's like deckhand is great with Oil and getting some more damage there. But if it's just against Warrior, you just play it, you just lose it. Like, you just lost the card. It's better to keep it in hand.
Yeah, just going for the charge for the surprise burst, I think is much more worth it for 1 mana.
So let's maybe evaluate the hands. Like, from Neirea's perspective, he has a lot of free drops, which is great. Like, he has Edwin, he has the Deadly Poison, so he will be able to put early pressure, as opposed to having a handful of spells. I would say that his hand is pretty good. Where on Max's side for the Warrior, double weapon is not terrible. He doesn't have many spells, but then he has Brawl for a possible overextension on Neirea's side. He doesn't have removal. That's painful. No Shield Slam.
Yeah. He also, he doesn't have like his Acolyte either to help kind of combo up with the Dust Bite. So yeah, it looks like he's just gonna prep it.
Yeah, he can't even deal with this Edwin right now. Like, he didn't have a way to kill it, and a 6/6 on board.
Oh, that weapon's already getting pretty big, and it lets him just take care of the Armor Smith without doing anything. So that Edwin's now going to stay alive, as far as Neirea is concerned, for at least another turn. Still nothing really to play here from Max.
Yeah, another weapon is just a disaster. He might go for the Brawl, but that's just like, so bad.
I mean, it's like a 50-50 to remove Edwin with a 5-mana card, and putting nothing on the board seems a little bit bad.
There's like nothing else he can do. He can attack and armor up and pass. Because
I guess so. Or like he's just gonna prep his next weapon. Like he's kind of racing to get rid of this Edwin, but Edwin is doing so much work already. I mean, if you can hit twice, right, and you just kind of forced Max to use one of his Death Pipe without much success. Oh wow. Meanwhile,
that's a lot of damage.
Oh my goodness.
That's why Deckhand is so good, because it always has charge, almost always has charge, and it's an activator. Like basically for all the combo cards, just play it and then Oil gets +3 damage. Well, he has to brawl. He has to brawl.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
The moment of truth for Max. Neirea is smiling to himself, and it's the Edwin. Oh man. Wow.
Wow,
that may have been the quickest Control Warrior game I have ever witnessed.
That was one of the most OP Edwins I've seen.
Yeah, wow. That was very straightforward. I mean, in any matchup, right? That's why Control Warrior is hailed as such a great deck, because in any matchup you have the chance to drag it out. But the starting hand just didn't work out for Max. I mean, that's just kind of the luck of the draw there for him.
Also, the fact that Neirea was able to play an Edwin as a 6/6. Like, Max had ways to deal with a 4/4. Like, he had ways to deal with a 5/5 with 5 health. But there was like nothing to deal 6 damage and in one go. So he just got stuck. Like, the fact that he had the hand as he had that, and Neirea was able to like develop this Edwin was just the game-changing play.
Yeah, and then the coin there for the Rogue, of course, something you always want to see. So a little bit unfortunate for Max, but we'll take a look at the deck lists, or the class lists at least, as we go into, or as we prep for the next game. While we're looking at that, I hear that we also have quite a few viewers for the French stream for Deck Wars today, so that's pretty awesome. Shout out to you guys. Of course, I've known, in many titles for a while now, esports pretty big in France, so it's nice to see you guys giving some love to these two players in Hearthstone today. But Max is pretty much down to the wire right now.
Yeah, he has his Rogue. He can always go for the coin flip, but then again, he can have a bit of a different version. And he's seen a lot. Like, he's seen Barbers. Violet Teacher is a staple, but Barber is a bit different. He's seen Edwin. Edwin is not always in every deck, so he has information. So he should be able to evaluate where does he stand with the mirror match. And then Mage is, I think, like, I would go with the Mage. I would try to win against this Rogue and then just sweep if possible. But maybe he is afraid that if he wins versus Rogue, then Neirea will be able to counter Mage with one of his remaining decks. So now it's all about strategy.
Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty tough call for Max, I think. Either one, whether you coin flip now or later, right? If you go for the Rogue, you kind of start the coin flip now. But if you go with the Mage, it's like, if you get the win, what then? But he's the one making the calls rather. So we'll see what he chooses as we prepare Game 4 here. Neirea up 2-1 after his first loss against the Hunter.
And we are going to have a mirror match.
All right. I mean, I do prefer it a little bit. I think the logic there is, if you're going to have to coin flip anyway, why not do it now? And then maybe you can just keep snowballing off of that. But he has, again, his hand isn't looking too hot, right? 2 Drakes plus
Terrible.
2 oils.
It's like, Max is definitely disappointed by looking at his hands, and he doesn't have a. He's not doing anything till turn 5 or something.
Yeah, he can't. He really can't.
And then Neirea got he got a Farseer, so it's not bad. And then Neirea is having everything mostly. Like, he has removal spells. He gets like a bit of a draw with the Shiv and Thalnos. Interesting that he's playing Shiv. Like, a lot of people drop the Shiv. And he got Edwin again, and Azure Drake. That's a pretty good hand, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say so. The Teacher coming out too. Yeah, the Shiv's interesting, especially now if you don't run Gadget's Hand, right? It loses so much of its value, but if you've got the spell power and the Teacher, it's still going to do some work for you, and especially against more aggressive decks, it's still going to have that value there to trade 1 card for 1.
I really like it because it seems like the deck Neirea is playing is a bit different, which only shows that you can still play different variations of the same deck. You're not stuck with like only one version.
And having to use the oil early just to get that teacher off the board. I mean, you don't want that snowballing out of control, especially when you don't have a Fan of Knives ready. So you can't blame Max, but you have to work with what you had. Starting turn 5, though, Max is going to feel a little bit better. At least, you know, he's going to give himself hope to try to climb back in.
Oh yeah, certainly. This game is far from over. Max does have the Assassin's Blade. He has the oil. At one point, if he will be able to to draw into Blade Flurry and have a good flurry to clear the board, he might get an advantage and win the game. Right now, I think this game is undecided still.
Yeah, by far, especially now as he's going to be able to cycle with those Drakes. A second Fan of Knives. Max is all about the doubles today.
Yeah, he did the preparation. Like, preparation would be so amazing. The preparation, draw a card, clear the board.
Would have been pretty awesome. But yeah, you know, I was wondering if he's going to do that. I mean, he has a second oil anyway, and otherwise you just kind of lose your Drake for free. And then Neirea gets to cycle too while clearing with the Thalnos. So Max goes ahead and tries to equalize the board in his favor.
Other Drakes are so annoying if you're playing against Rogue. Like, you always have to clear them. Like, they can't really stay on board for one turn even. Getting just 1+ spell damage. Like, Thalnos is the same. You just... Rogue with spell damage is so much better. It's incredible.
Still a little bit of a toughie here, but looks like Fan of Knives first to see what he gets. And a sap.
So it seems like, again, Max is not able to deal with the Edwin. Edwin proving to be, like, annoying.
Oh, man.
Backstab. The backstab was a nice top deck here. Just
wow.
Deal with Farsi for free.
Well, things are slowly getting out of hand. And I mean, simply the draws that Neirea has been getting, right? He's been getting unique cards. He hasn't been getting doubles. He's been getting kind of answers other than the Eviscerate now, but he still has 2 minions to play. He has a sprint. He has still removal in his hand. While Max is just, he's trying to make, you know, meet ends here with what he's got. And he's actually just gonna give the Drake back to him just to buy himself some time.
Yeah, he definitely needs time. He needs to draw into something to be able to clear the board. Lothab, a pretty good play from Neirea, just blocking any possible clears and dealing a lot of damage by itself. And also, Max is dropping very low with like 16, and Lothab on board. He will be at 11. And then Neirea has a full hand. Looking good for Neirea here. And that's why you normally would love to avoid the mirror match. Because if you get unlucky in a mirror match, it's over.
Yeah, and it's starting to look that way for Max. I mean, he had a chance to climb back in, but the draws from the Drakes didn't work out for him. Meanwhile, Neirea could try to muster up lethal right away next turn, depending on his next draw. Or 2 draws, because he does have the Drake now, 2 Drakes in hand, so he'll be able to get at least one next turn to see if he can get a prep or something to run both Eviscerates.
So, a good call from Max, just clearing the board. He is so much behind, but he just needs to develop the board and push and use the oil to be able to have a 1-turn kill, if possible. With oil and flurry and an Assassin's Blade, how much damage is that? If he's able to combo oil with Thalnos, that will be 6 plus 7. That's 30. Well, it's even more. 8, 14, 18, 21.
Oh.
It's really lots of damage, but Neirea is dealing with the board easy here with the sap. Just whoever gets the tempo and advantage here.
Yeah, I mean, Neirea's kind of got answers all over the place. Right now, I mean, just next turn, he can Drake Eviscerate to finish off.
But then, yeah, it's like exact lethal next turn. So
yeah, Max has to clear the Drake off.
And he's a Farsi.
Yeah, he needs to do that exactly. Which it sounds like he's gonna do.
But then again, being Max, do you assume that there is a possibility of you being dead to another spell damage card and double Eviscerate? I guess you do have to assume that with so many cards in opposing hand.
Yeah, and Neirea's just got an arsenal ready. Oh wow. Okay, well.
I agree with that in a
Oh,
sense.
okay, the Blade Flare.
Yeah, he's clearing still.
I didn't see the Blade Flare in his hand.
Wait, so he is not dead, right? Or is he?
No, now he's not, because you need yeah, because he'd be at 11 now, because he needed that first Drake to be alive, even without the spell power, just to hit. But Max, I didn't see the Blade Flare, but smart of him to just trade that. So now he brings him low, and Max actually just flips the game around in one turn. And I mean, that's the beauty of rogues. But I don't really see
one
an
damage
answer
of lethal.
here.
Neirea is basically 1 damage of lethal with.
If Neirea draws, oh wow, and then he's just gonna try to clear. I was wondering. I mean, this is a safer play, but he does have to use a lot just to get through.
He was 1 damage off with oil on double eviscerate. He was dealing 12. Yeah, that's the correct play. To, like, try to limit the damage. So you know that your opponent only has 2 cards in hand, and he just used the big flurry. Oh, now it will be 4.
And all right,
another flurry, but he needs deadly poison here. If he gets deadly poison,
he can get a draw. Oh,
he can still.
Well,
he needs a preparation now because he is going to do damage with Fan of Knives, and then he would love to flurry, but he will not. Oh, the deadly poison is a bit too late.
That's rough.
But then again, how much damage Neirea will have?
He will have... Well, if he goes for the Drake, right, that's just 5 plus 8 plus 11, what's on board, and then his weapon 12. Then you could also go for the oil here with the SI7 agent to combo that. Max needs to clear.
Yeah, Max definitely needs to clear.
Because the oil will give him lethal.
Exactly. And it's better to take 3 damage than take 6 from the attack. Also, he's protecting his Drake with this. But that's oh man, that's that tough call to make.
This suddenly became a much more intense game than it looked like it was gonna be just 2 turns ago.
Backstab is probably a good card. He can clear the Drake easily if he wants to, but is there lethal? Like, there's no way for lethal, right? It's like weapon, backstab. Wait, maybe backstab is. Now, weapon is 4, and with eviscerate,
no, I don't think
8.
there is a...
Now it might be... No, not yet. Okay, so he just goes for the clear.
Yeah, and then you just get your weapon ready, and then next turn you can combo the deckhand into oil. So Neirea now definitely has lethal, but can Max finish it off? Oh!
Yeah, Sprint is a blank. He needed something with spell damage or another deadly.
Or at least like a prep to run a sprint and then try to fish for more cards. But this is there any way to get him out of this? I don't think so.
With a sprint,
it's 6 damage with the spells.
I think he can't deal with the Drake really. He needs to sprint and hope for like preparation and some other stuff.
Yeah, an agent, not what he's looking for. A deckhand himself and a prep, but nothing. Oh, and the eviscerate.
Wait, maybe with this he will have lethal. With deadly poison, it's 3, 5. Is he 1 off or is he good?
But he only has 1 charge left on his weapon, right? So it's 3, 5, 9. Yeah, he's 1 off.
Wait,
he doesn't have spell power.
It's so close. He can't deal damage with. This is 3, 5. Maybe he can just go for the clear.
I think he has to.
Oh my god, he is really doing great decisions here.
Yeah, he just has to Blade Flurry to get the damage plus the clear.
But then he's dead
but
anyway.
It's still game over. Yeah, he needed lethal because we have the deckhand plus the oil, and you mentioned that the beauty of that combo earlier. So, I mean, Max fought a good fight. You gotta give it to him. He climbed back into that as much as he possibly could on turn 7 and 8. But
he was also 1 damage of lethal here.
Yeah. Oh,
was
yeah.
if he would not he had to attack into the Farseer. There was no way. He was forced to attack last turn. But then if he
Yeah.
will not attack, he will have one more durability. And I'm thinking, if he will have one more durability, was that lethal? Deadly
Well,
poison.
yeah, because he would have hit and then Blade
Yeah, because
Fairy.
that's 10. True, yeah. Like Blade Flurry and then preparation
Yeah,
eviscerate.
so in hindsight, he could have because Neirea didn't have the lethal elixir. But obviously, in his place, I mean, I think he made the best plays he had to. He had to go for the safer route. I mean, so, it's just a different play style. Some people do like taking those risks every time, right? It's like I'll just push for my own lethal every time. But
Yeah.
Max tried to play it safe, and in the end, it didn't work out. But that was a fun match to see because starting turn 5, it was like, all right, Neria's gonna win. It's pretty game over.
I'm still shaking. Like this match was so intense, it's just insane. Like both players with the back to the wall. All right, so Max is now with his mage, and if this is a mech mage, I would say he still has a chance to sweep. If this is a freeze mage,
He does.
What if this is a freeze mage? Then it's tough.
Yeah, I wouldn't really wage my bets on his freeze mage sweeping 3-0 against the rogue, priest, and warrior. That seems like a far shot. But if it's mech mage, again, that's the new deck that you never know how it's gonna go. So for Max's sake, you gotta hope that it's mech. And I'm willing to bet that it probably is. I mean, there's definitely a higher chance that it's mech just because of its success recently.
Yeah.
Freeze, I think, is much more of a niche pick. And if you're going to bring Freeze, you probably have some other more consistent decks in your lineup. So Max,
so
just gathering
basically,
his thoughts.
With Mech Mage versus Rogue is a very tricky matchup. Maybe Neirea with the cards he's using with Edwin and Barber is getting a bit of an edge in this match, but still Mech Mage can win. I don't think it's at worst 50-50. Then against Priest, I think Priest has an advantage versus Mech Mage. And the last is Warrior, where then Mech Mage has an advantage versus... Oh wow, and it's not a Mech Mage. I'm actually seeing Blizzard and Explosive Sheep. That's why he didn't take it before.
Makes sense.
Wait, what is this? Like, this is the fatigue kind of mage? Like, duplicate?
I think so. Looks like it's definitely more fatigue than just straight up freeze. But I mean, he has to make Neirea play the guessing game for now. But I think by turn 3 it's gonna show because he has nothing to play that's even gonna resemble a mech mage.
Yeah, and Neirea knows this is not a mech mage. Like, there's no way it's a mech mage.
Yeah, I mean, for you to not be able to play something with the coin on turn 2 as mech mage is pretty hard. I mean, man, what is it with Max and the doubles today? He already has both sheeps and duplicates again. That's just rough.
Well, to be honest, he only got 1 coin.
That's true. He probably would have liked the double coin if he was going to have doubles anyway.
True. So how does this matchup look like? If well, we don't. I think we don't see enough cards actually.
Yeah, I want to see what else Max has. Because with what he has now, I think with Neirea start, Neirea still has a good chance. But, well, there's BGH showing up again. He had that in his Hunter deck too, a little bit odd.
Well, to be honest, I think it's alright for Max. With when I see duplicate and when I see healbot, I'm thinking, okay, I guess there will be a lot of healing involved. And the freezes are still there. If the board, like, he has a lot of board gears as well with Explosive Sheep, and he has answers. So Neirea will have to get him low, but then for Neirea it's also tricky. There can be Molten Giants. So what do you do, and how do you do it? Yeah.
Neirea, you can see him focusing a lot more a little bit. He's like, all right, well, kind of playing the guessing game now, but good clear. That's going to give him more heal bots. Neirea not too happy, but I don't think you could have really avoided that. You just still got to race, and you got to... Now you really just got to go for the setup here. Deathlord too.
Yeah, that seems like Fatigue Mage then. Like,
yeah.
You do just outlive your opponent, basically. Outheal, outlive. Oh man, so Max not like Max from Team Method, not out yet, taking Neirea on an emotional roller coaster. Fatigue Mage trying to like destroy his psyche, get him tired. Look at
It
Neirea.
can
Neirea's
work.
already like, oh my god, what am I playing? Like, why am I playing against this deck as my last one?
Yeah, it's definitely annoying, but for Neirea, yeah, you just gotta set up the maximum combo you can. And then try to burst him down before he can heal back up. Just a straight clear there. What he's gonna get? He gets his Thanos, which is whatever.
Okay, so being Max, how do you clear this board now? I guess you don't have to. You can just stall and then prepare it for like a bigger boom.
Now, if you're gonna Blizzard, well, I guess so, because it's gonna stop the damage from the bigger minions too. I was wondering if you would just Explosive Sheep, but might as well save yourself from 7 damage. That's quite a bit.
Well, you are forcing your opponent to still like play minions. Just Neirea can't win. Like he has to deal damage. Like basically have to deal damage, and you deal damage by having a bigger board. Like this is such a tricky matchup because being Neirea, you want to deal big packets of damage and big like having big minions or like having more minions. But then Max is like having those heals, like 16 heal at least from the heal bots, and he does have a lot of clears. So what you're fighting here, you're fighting a war of attrition where both players will be trying to spend cards, and you try to exhaust your opponent from the clears, from the heals, and be the one who will deal that damage. But then
man,
how do you do this? Like Max's hand is almost full.
Yeah, I think Max has to just sacrifice a heal bot here, get the heal, and then use a Frostbolt to clear either probably the Drake, and then go for the duplicate again next turn. But at that point, it feels so iffy because even if you get it back, it's still a 5-mana card.
Maybe he will go for double sheep. He can go for.
Oh, that's fine. He can clear the entire board. Oh no, he can't. He can't clear the T-shirt.
Yeah, the T-shirt will be there still.
Well,
but then he has the Doomsayer.
All right. Well, yeah, might as well empty Fan of Knives now that you know you're playing against Fatigue Mage. Might as well try to get some stuff out.
Yeah, Lothab is pretty important.
Yeah.
You do deal damage, and you seal your opponent from playing any freezes and weird spells. But then Max is in a good shape with those heal bots. Neirea only has what, 6 damage on board right now?
Yeah, I think he's fine playing this, and then he can try to set up for Doomsayer next, because we're not seeing any more minions coming out for Neirea. He might just prep Sprint here to see if he can put some other things on the board, because he knows he needs to get those out there. He doesn't have a full-on combo ready just yet.
Yeah, Sprint was a pretty good pickup for Neirea. Like, he needs as many cards as possible to have this a big burst turn. And if he's not getting frozen, then the weapon will be just fantastic, where you just play Deadly Poison with oil on a weapon and be able to swing into turns, or maybe like even Flurry. Just buff your weapon as much as possible, and then attack and Flurry to just one-shot kill your opponent.
Yep. Also saving that backside before putting out the Van Cleave so it doesn't get BGH'd. Kind of like that, keeping it at 6/6. Because it's still a pretty strong minion that Max has to deal with.
Max doesn't have a freeze. I mean, he has the Frostbolt, but then he is not able to use the Doomsayer effectively.
Yeah, well, he does have the Sludge Belcher too. So I think that's the play here.
Sludge Belcher, Doomsayer.
Yeah. Then at least you'll get the taunt token there for yourself. Or ping that and then go for it. Okay.
Well, the thing about Doomsayer is that even if it gets killed, it's still tanked 7 points of damage.
Yeah. Oh wow, and he's gonna put out the duplicate.
Duplicate the Doomsayer.
I mean, hey, with that, like, he could put out double Doomsayers next turn to just secure a board clear, right?
I wonder how much damage Neirea has with. Let's say he has the deckhand with oil, and the oil hits something that can attack. So that's 8 points of damage. With Deadly Poison, that's 10. Weapon attack, that's 11. 16. Neirea is really close to like just winning. If you would get Flurry,
yeah, then I think he can finish the game, especially the Drake too. So I think you might as well put the Drake out now. Oh, he's gonna just try to bring him down because he just gave back 2 Doomsayers, right, with the sabotage.
Yeah.
So now it's a hard choice for Max. You know, do you heal or do you try to secure the Doomsayers? But there's not much of an answer there.
Oh, he got a first nova,
wow.
but then again, he doesn't have the. I think. All right, he has everything because he has the Belcher. Like that was pretty smart from Neirea, by the way, to set up a board where you do have a kill with a weapon, but maybe he did jump the gun a bit too early. Right now, Max did check himself.
Hold on. He does not. He doesn't get it.
Run off.
Well, now his Drake's gonna die. But you know, like you said,
he can kill the Doomsayer. Like he can attack Doomsayer with a weapon and eviscerate it.
Oh man, but having to use your 6 damage weapon on a Doomsayer feels pretty bad.
And a 5 damage eviscerate.
Yeah. I think this was the better call. You might as well just refill your hand, and now you're getting some options here. But there go all your minions. But yeah, I think Neirea made the right call because, like you said, he overcommitted the turn before, but at that point you can't turn your back. You just have to keep going, because otherwise the fatigue mage will just keep climbing back in.
Right,
also, keeping that 6 damage on the weapon I think is a big threat.
Yeah, it is. Like Max is essentially on 6 points of health, but if he uses Alexstrasza, he just goes up to like 3 more. So it's like a different kind of math. He's more or less out of options. He just has the reactive cards.
Max is just pinging Neirea down. He's almost out of cards. That's pretty iffy.
How much damage? I think this is it, right? It's like 9 with a Viscera?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because then he can play Flurry.
Oh man, there's Rogue from Neirea proving to be unstoppable.
Wow.
Max gave us a great show, but Neirea just with the plays and going face when he needed, taking the risks. It's a pretty good match.
Yeah, I would say so. I really enjoyed looking at Max's decks, but Neirea definitely played well with what he had. Max also a little bit unfortunate with his draws in the earlier couple games, but you know, he fought for it pretty well. So, yeah, that's it then. We wrap up 4-1, a relatively quicker match today, just the length of the games themselves and then the score too. But Neirea joining the ranks of the 7 others so far, going into the 8 players that make it into the final tournament of Deck Wars. We will have 8 more in the coming weeks. But we'll look at the scoreboard once again before we go to a quick break and then bring him on for an interview. And of course, just like we did last week, if you're interested in kind of hearing more about them and maybe seeing their decks in play, hearing the players' thoughts themselves and compare it with what we said during the cast, then we'll have the winner on for the tabletop. So don't go anywhere, guys. We will be right back. And we'll lead into an interview with our winner of this week's Deck Wars, Neirea, and then we'll go right into, I guess, the tabletop.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be it. So we'll take a very quick break. Don't go anywhere, just like a minute or so while we get him all set up. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Surprise, Neirea hasn't joined us yet. We'll have him set up. But before we do that, we do want to just wrap up Deck Wars before we go into the tabletop, because Neirea will be joining us for that. And then we'll get to talk to him about his decks, maybe see more of his rogue, maybe see his priest, since we didn't get to check out exactly what type it was, and hear his thoughts on his match today. But let's look at the results real quick. So 4-1 for Neirea today, Gnimsh. And as we reviewed in the beginning of the broadcast, there are 7 others. So like you said, we're halfway through for Deck Wars Season 3.
Yeah, and that was pretty fast. It seems like it just started, and we have this episode after episode, and we'll have 16 more players facing each other, and we'll get 8 more for the top final. And yeah, there's like a lot of players right now. Like I remember the times like in the beginning of Hearthstone when we just had a couple of names, but right now all those guys are like famous, and there are some guys who are not that famous, but Deck Wars are a chance for them also to shine. Where like maybe Max was not that known, but there again, he did do really well. And Neirea again proving that he's a fantastic player and advancing. So I will be looking forward to seeing Neirea in the final, next to like Masan, Dice, Kaldi, Faramir, Dog, Hosty, and Firebath.
Yeah, I'm already pretty hyped up for the final. And also because the meta will have changed so much by then, right? So these players who, like for instance, Firebat, he just won the World Championship, then came in right into Deck Wars, won that first week. But how will things have changed for him by the time we get there? Who knows? But that's it for our Deck Wars match today. So very quick, 4-1 for Neirea. Thanks again for watching, and stay on this channel because we'll get to be joined by Neirea for just to kind of talk through about the match while we're also looking at him playing some games and explaining his decks. So we'll be right back with the tabletop.